There we go. Hi guys, I'm Max. Welcome back to From Zero to Racehorse, where I will document my entire journey from absolute zero to becoming rich, enough to buy a filly, train her, take care of her, to turn her into a champion. That's right, a filly, a mare. You know what? When you believe you've found a greater purpose in your life, a broader purpose, you start to wonder what aspects of your life deserve your attention and which ones hinder you or, at worst, even pull you away from your purpose. Today, as I was immersed in my morning reading, I couldn't help but ask myself that very question. How much of my time have I invested in things that have pulled me away from finding my purpose? There are many things in this life that demand our attention and others that ask for it. Notice the critical difference between demanding and asking. Yet, we aren't obliged to pay attention to everything, guys. We human beings are constantly bombarded with cluster bombs of information, exposed to millions or tens of millions of sources of information daily. Because of this, we've developed the ability to direct our attention towards things that we consider good or beneficial and pay less attention to things that we believe aren't worth our time. Now, it makes sense, doesn't it? Now, you might have already known about this, or at the very least, suspected it. But if we all know this, or at least have functional information filtering systems, why then do we continue to pay attention to things that don't bring us closer to our purpose, and don't even benefit us in the slightest? You see, guys, back in high school, I used to be quite involved in politics. It was 2016. I was 14 years old. Back then, I'd spent all my time immersed in lectures by renowned political scientists here in Argentina, as well as diving into political works of varying complexity. The feedback was addictive. I believed I knew the truth better. I believed, with the arrogance of a 14 or a 15 years old, that I was getting closer to the truth. Now, today I look back and think that while those hours dedicated to studying politics were fruitful for developing my critical thinking and cognitive thinking, they only served to pull me away from what I now consider my purpose. Consumed by those readings and videos, believing I was getting closer and closer to the truth, willingly condemning myself to an echo chamber, I became committed to external factors and events that were far outside from my control. Yet, I would obsess over them and grow bitter as if they were within my control. I'd obsess over things that were outside my control as if they were within my control. This reflection reminds me of a phrase that Marcus Aurelius, the ancient Roman emperor, one of the three pillars of the late Roman Stoicism, once said: "You don't need to have an opinion about everything. Don't get worked on about things you can't control. These things didn't ask for your attention. Leave them alone." And it's absolutely true. None of these things ask for our attention in the first place. We can't even change them because they are beyond our control. And one could rightfully argue, paraphrasing Thucydides, who said, "The society that separates its scholars from its warriors will have cowards make the decisions and fools fight its wars." You could argue that it's necessary to be informed, in order to vote intelligently, or to choose the right candidate to represent you, or that it's necessary to be informed to know how to fight your enemy. But if that's what you believe, it's fair to ask yourself, has anything changed with one candidate or the other? Are the wars to be avoided actually avoided, and the wars to be fought actually fought? Do the corporations and companies that finance your favorite candidates stop influencing or even determining their campaigns? Was your nation asked if they agreed with the last measure or that last expense? The answer is no. And that's because the governmental models we live with today are a far cry from what they once were, where people like you and me truly had the power of choice. Nowadays, decisions are made by conglomerates of corporations and technocrats who couldn't care less about you. So it's valid to ask yourself once more, is it worth bothering with all those things you can't control? Is it worth throwing away the time entrusted to you in this life? Because today, I no longer consume news. I no longer consume politics. Listen, I couldn't care less what a certain politician or a certain party said. I don't care. Because I know that behind all the fine veil of deceit, there's no real choice, just an illusion of choice fed by psychological biases and some social engineering. So today, more than ever, it's necessary to ask yourself if what you dedicate your attention to, the things you can't control, are really worth your time and emotional state. Because I'm committed to doing everything possible to dedicate my attention and energy to what I can control, which is my performance, my learning, and my effort to one day become rich and buy my feeling. But that goal is only possible if I'm truly able to filter information and focus on what will bring that feeling to my arms. Anyway, guys, I know this channel isn't about politics or philosophy. Truth be told, I still don't know what this channel is about. But I'm working on that. And we'll find out soon. For now, I know this. Day 16 of getting rich, so I can buy my racehorse. Well, that's all, guys. Thank you so much for your attention and your support. I wish you an excellent day, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Bye-bye.